40, man to man, break.
It's high school football now. Presented by Fourth Down Magazine with Eric Epler and Andy Shay. Time for a look at Central PA football. Here are Eric Epler and Andy Shay.
All righty, welcome to High School Football Now, presented by Fourth Down Magazine. It's time to get it on once again. Full hour of Central PA football. I'm Eric Epler from Penn Live. He is Andy Shay from Fourth Down Magazine and Parts Unknown. We are here to give you a full hour of football. It was an exciting week. I'm going to tell you. We're going to go over a lot of the excitement, but let's run down what's going to happen over the next 60 minutes or so. First quarter, week that was. We always look back at some of the big-time finishes. There were a couple of surprises this week, a couple winning streaks that grew a little bit. A couple teams got off the schneid, including one, your Harrisburg Cougars. They're back on the field in a big way. Quarter number two, we're going to bring back what's hot, what's not, where Andy and I dip around to District 3 and look at things and say, this is what we like, this is what we don't like. We'll bring that quarter number two. Quarter three, of course, real-life football players are going to join us this week. We got a couple 3-0 bubblers are coming to the house. Carson Garvey and Davon James. Big running back. He's had big chunks of real estate to run through. And, of course, quarter number four, we always finish with our picks and predictions. We got 10 big picks for you this week, and we'll see how we did last week.
We got 11 picks for you this week.
That's right. We do have 11.
Conscious. We're COVID conscious now.
That's right. We lost a game last week that we had picked, so we're going to make it up and pick 11. That's right.
Well, we're going to try and make it up, right?
Maybe, yeah. Tomorrow it might be different. The schedule might be different. Who knows? All right, A, let's get cracking. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, E?
I am hanging in there.
Let's get rolling, and let's start with my game. Not your game. You were in County. Let's start with my game at West Shore Stadium. Bishop McDevitt 40, Cedar Cliff 28. Here's what I'm going to say. This game was like, it was just another, kind of okay football game, right? Neither team was great. Neither team was bad in the first half. And it was 14-7 McDevitt at the half, right? It wasn't much going on. Oh, my gosh, you had to strap it on for the third quarter. 14-7 at the half. 40-28 after three quarters. That's 47 points combined in 12 minutes. There was a stretch where these two teams combined to score 5 touchdowns in a variety of ways in under 4 minutes, E. It was like the clock was rolling in the first half while the scoreboard was rolling in the third quarter. Cedar Cliff actually took a 28-27 lead late in the third quarter at one point. So that's why I kind of jokingly, you always felt, I was sitting there watching the game and I'm like, good on Cedar Cliff, right? They're like throwing the kitchen sink at McDevitt. They're scoring on fumbles and recovering them in the end zone. They put one good drive together that was, Vasquez just running down their throats, which was impressive. And they hit a kickoff return. McDevitt's throwing bombs. It was crazy. Lek Powell, the Bishop McDevitt quarterback, went off in the third quarter. 9 of 12, 207 yards. That's one quarter and 4 touchdown passes. He finished with 330 and 5 TDs to the air. McDevitt's offensive line was much better the second half. That was a big difference maker for me. They were getting gobsmacked in the first half, both in the run game, no Marquise Williams. So they were kind of mixing and mashing at running back and just trying to cover up a little bit so that they could just throw bombs, which is clearly what they wanted to do with Marquise out. But they were better the second half. Cedar Cliff, which we both agree they have a good front, right? Up along the front in the trenches are good. And they dug into Lek Powell in the second quarter. They got him off his game. They hit him a couple times. They hit his arm as he throws. Then his mechanics got a little squirrely. Halftime, he came out and lit him up. But it was interesting. And then nobody scored in the fourth quarter, right? Like nothing happened. The interesting thing for Cedar Cliff, they rotated quarterbacks. They used both of them, alternating series the entire game. At one point, It's like late first quarter. I'm like, is Gannon hurt? And he's standing on the sidelines, and I'm like, is he hurt? I guess he's hurt. And then the next series he was back in. I'm like, hold on, what am I missing here? And they rotated back and forth the entire game, trying to do a little mix and match on McDevitt. The Crusaders were not clean. 4 turnovers, 12 penalties, 105 yards. They still won. Cedar Cliff played well. I think if you would pin Coach Gillen down and he'd say, yeah, we played pretty darn good. I think they played pretty darn good. They just don't have the firepower.
Yeah, not against McDevitt. Anyway, that's McDevitt.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's it. In a nutshell, my game from Friday night real quick.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. I was at Farina Sports Complex in Reading to see the Harrisburg Cougars debut. Right now, it is the only game that is scheduled for them in October, and they made the most of it. 62-28 over a very good Berks Catholic team. There was, it was almost similar to the Central Dauphin State College game, where sort of State College was sort of antsy, but they got behind early against State College and didn't really have – this one sort of just turned in the first, 4 or 5 minutes. Harrisburg was just so – if you looked at them from the side, like you almost felt like they were elevated. They were elevating. They were so hyped up for this football game because they waited so long to get back on the field and play. And they just took charge early. Those big guys up front took charge. I mean, you could see that Berks Catholic, this is a good 4A football team. We talk about them being one of the benchmark programs. That's a good football team for 4A. But against this sort of tidal wave of emotion and speed that Harrisburg brought to Reading, it was no contest. Kiev Gregg and Jalen Johnston were the beneficiaries of particularly the left side of the offensive line for Harrisburg. Roy Irvin at center, Tyshawn Black at left tackle, and of course the big Penn State target Penn State commit Nate Bruce at left guard. Those guys pretty much had their way, and well, the outcome speaks for itself. So good win for Harrisburg. They're trying desperately to nab a few more games here before the district deadline. It looks like a long shot, but I got word a little bit earlier that maybe one is coming here shortly. So they're going to have to somehow try to squeeze 3 more games in the next, 14 days to make it, 15 days to make it. So we'll see if that plays out. But good start for Harrisburg.
Yeah, I'll say the final score, 62-28. You're right. Harrisburg's hunt for opponents goes on. I don't know if they did themselves any favor, judging by some of the squirrely stuff that's going on around the state about teams not wanting to lose or not playing.
Right.
Lose. They dropped a 62 bomb on Berks Catholic, a real man who'll play anybody. That wicked fast start set the table, and we know Harrisburg's got dudes, right? That's a big difference maker.
Yeah,
that's a big.
Absolutely.
So, all right, let's keep moving on. Let's keep rolling. Mechanicsburg 48, Greencastle Antrim 0.
Not a surprise that Mechanicsburg won this football game. We both had them. I thought it would be a few touchdown games. The 0 is the switch for me.
Right.
Like, you would almost expect too, especially when we know that Coach Rose will shut it down. He gets to a certain point and he will shut it down. Play some JVs, play some backup guys. So to get this shutout, I think, against Greencastle, I know, and Greencastle's not the most potent offense, but they are capable. And so 48-0 drubbing like this says a lot about Mechanicsburg and where their confidence is and the direction they're going and what they're sort of looking ahead to. So I'm very, very impressed by the shutout.
Yeah, they're killing – Mechanicsburg's killing cats right now. 35-0 last week against Shippensburg. First half, game over. Button it up. Let's go home. When you said we felt Mechanicsburg was a strong favorite here, like a 10, 14, 16-point favorite, but
right.
I didn't see a blowout, right? Now, you think about it, Greencastle's only scored 7 points now in its last 2 games against Waynesboro and Mechanicsburg. Waynesboro and Mechanicsburg. I ask you this, E.
Yeah.
Are the Wildcats the Colonial Division odds-on favorite now? Do you see them as the team that's separating themselves? Yes or no? That's all.
Yeah. If you guys, if I have to go yes or no, then it's yes, because I think when you have to match up them with who? Northern.
Yep.
At this point, you have to match up with Northern and say, and they're a very good matchup. They have advantages in that matchup. Now, Northern also has a few advantages in that matchup, but not as many to me against Mechanicsburg. I think defensively, Northern hasn't played their best game. So if that happens against a Micah Brubaker and Mechanicsburg, then you're going to have basically a tug of war matchup, and that's the only way Northern's going to win it. Mechanicsburg can outrace Northern, but not the other way around. So Northern's going to have to play their best defensive game against Mechanicsburg, but that's the game I want to see. Absolutely.
When you need high-quality printing that is affordable and completed on a tight deadline, please choose Fortney Printing. Fortney Printing has been locally owned and trusted for more than 3 decades. Whether you're a large corporate client or a team, school, or individual with a small job, Fortney Printing will treat you like family. Call or email today for a quote. Mention Fourth Down Magazine. That's 717-939-6422, or email Adam at FortneyPrinting.com. Fortney Printing, your trusted source for promotional items, printing, and PP&E in the Harrisburg area. All right, Epler, Solanco 42, Manheim Central 35. I'm just going to let you go.
I think it's time we jump on that wagon a little bit. Maybe we jump on the Golden Mules. How do you not?
I think you can join me on the wagon.
What's that?
I think you can join me on the wagon now.
Yeah, I have to now. I mean, this was the game I thought would be the trap. This was the trap, right?
Right.
I mean, you just beat Cocalico. In 2 weeks, you play who? Big Bad Warwick. So right in the middle is a Manheim Central team that has not done a lot great, and maybe and they've got all that history behind them. That's the trap. And you know what? Trap didn't work. Solanco beat him 42-35. So think about this. Hey, they have a chance now to beat that trio. Who has done that? Who at least has had the opportunity to win 3 straight against Cocalico, Manheim Central, and Warwick in a row. I don't know if that's happened in the last 20 years.
Opportunity knocks, right?
Yeah, exactly. But they've earned that. That's absolutely what they've earned it. They've done a great job. And, it's just, I mean, I'm still probably going to pick Warwick because Warwick is a bunch of bad dudes, So we're going to have to see. But Solanco's done an outstanding job. Every credit they deserve at this point. Great victory for Tony Cox and the boys.
Yeah, so all I know is that if you ring up 350-plus yards on the ground against Manheim Central, you're good at what you do.
Absolutely.
That's it. You're good at what you do. All right, let's keep rolling. Northern 31, Shippensburg 20. Good football game. Just exactly what you'd expect from these two teams. A little bit late in terms of the record for the Greyhounds, but 31-20.
Right, and you knew this was just a game that Northern had circled 15 times. It's like, I mean, this is always the game they want to win because it's always – Colonial has been owned by Shippensburg for the last couple of years. Northern has tied for the title once or twice, I think, in the last 5 or 6 years. So this is a huge statement win for Northern. And again, I said it earlier, I still don't think Northern's played their best. And Jordan Heisey's been tremendous in this first couple of weeks of the season. He had 115 yards on the ground. Talon Beluccio, I'm hoping I'm saying that right, 9 carries for 100 yards. When you do that, when you average over 10 yards a carry rushing the football, your offensive line is doing business, And I know Shippensburg is developing and they've got a bunch of young guys, but now we're 3 or 4 weeks in, and this was a huge win for Northern for them moving forward. So congratulations to Coach Miller and those guys, and I see them keeping it going.
Yeah, it helps. This game helps me figure out that Chip's fighting the greenhorn syndrome up front, right?
Yeah,
like they're at the line of scrimmage. They're developing and probably developing slowly right now, right? And that sort of explains a little bit about what's going on, because when they're at their best, they have dudes with beards playing up front, right? The beard got like a dozen deer under their, deer kills under the name. But I think the difference maker for Northern is a quarterback, right? Jordan, he's been very, very good this year. He was in the shadow of who running for 2,000 yards last year, but you could still see it. Like, This guy's got the arm and the legs to sort of carry this team if need be. Well, need be's now, and he's absolutely carrying a load for them, and it's opening up stuff for other guys. So I think Ship gave Northern its best shot right now, and Northern took it and rolled to a double-digit victory. That's impressive.
Good point.
All right, few more before we get out. Juniata 21, lowered off in 14 in overtime. Quick hitty.
I mean, what can you say? I mean, Lower Dolphin is
I know.
sort of at a standstill right now. Juniata is a team that, again, they play with a lot of excitement. Probably on paper, no one down these parts would have taken Juniata to win this game, even though Lower Dolphin had struggled so far. So that's a big, big win for the program. Liberty Division team probably isn't supposed to beat a team in the Keystone, like a Lower Dolphin. So congratulations to them on the OT win. Yaniel Ortiz with two touchdowns in this one, including the go-ahead one in OT. He had a big day. He had a big day for Juniata. Right now I just don't know. Like I said, I don't know how many steps Lower Dolphin can take forward here because it's not like the schedule is going to get any easier.
Right. This is a 50-50 game for me all the way. It's being coined as an upset, but if you call an upset, that means you don't really know or look at football and what's going on in front of you. That's just where Lower Dolphin is. They are who they are, and Rob Clark knows it, right? Yeah. Nice stand by the Indians D in the shadow of their goal line along in OT to secure the victory. That your defense comes up with a stop at the 1.5, and makes it stand up. Good for you. All right, two more, then we're going to get out. Elko 22, Octorara 19. Good game.
Yeah, we talked about Braden Bohannon, the quarterback for Elko, being the best guy on the field. He was again on Friday night, 279 rushing yards. It's always strange to me when you see a team win without a completion, without a pass. He threw two passes in this. It happens quite a bit in Section 3 and Section 4. You see this a few times. It's not like if Camp Hill's going out there. If a Camp Hill went out and only threw it 5 times, we'd be shocked. Right. You know what I mean? But these teams don't. This is not a rare occurrence. But again, 279 rushing yards by your quarterback, man, that's pretty impressive, even in that system. So they take the Section 4 lead. Good win for Elko.
Yeah, sometimes you just look at a game and you know that the best player on the field in this case, that was Braden Bohannon.
Yeah.
Everything else is close and equal, right? Everything else is a toss-up. But if Elko's going to win, he was going to be that guy, right? And good job by the Raiders offensive line and clearing out for him. But the hardest part in high school football is he's coming, right? You know what's coming. And if you're Octorara, you can't stop it. That, to me, is the hardest proposition in high school football because they're not even going to try and pass because they're having so much success. And he was the best player on the year. Hershey's 3-0, dude. 40.
Hershey's 3-0.
Elmira, last one before we hop out.
Yeah, they get more impressive each week. I expect this game to be close. I mean, we had Hershey's the favorite. We both picked Hershey. But Palmyra's a team that usually scraps and keeps things at least fairly interesting, and they go the full 4 quarters. So 40-6 was shocking to me. I mean, I thought this would be a decent football game, and it just wasn't. So, I mean, what do you say? I think you just stay out of Hershey's way at this point. Well, I mean, I know some things went wrong for Palmyra, but I mean, you don't get to 40-6 without doing a lot of things well.
Right. That's what. And I mean, they're going to take their shots, right? Hershey's taking them.
Yeah.
And their go-to receiver finally latched onto the other end of it. Everyone knows Davey Lloyd's their go-to guy, right? They got other receivers emerging, but he's that guy. 4 catches, 130 yards, 3 touchdowns. They found their guy, right? That means Hershey's going to win more often than not. Their defense just keeps getting a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better, and it's going to be a strength for them. All right, I'm just going to throw it out there before we get out. Are we talking about 5-0 Hershey possibly? Mifflin County this week, Lower Dolphins game 5. I'm just saying. All right, let's get out.
We talked 5-0. That it could be 5-0 last week.
It could be.
I'm talking again about it. 5-0. Yes.
We're going to cover a lot of ground in our what's hot, what's not. Stick around and see what we fancy and aren't big fans of this week. It's Fourth Down Magazine's High School Football Now with Eric and Andy. Come on back.
This is High School Football Now, presented by Fourth Down Magazine.
All right, welcome back to High School Football Now with Eric and Andy. We're presented by Fourth Down Magazine. And of course, you can find us through the Small Player, Big Play app and YouTube. We are proud to install once again our never replicated, what's hot, what's not segment. Remember, coming up, quarter number 3, we got a couple Boiling Springs Bubblers are going to join us, talk a little bit of football, and 3-0 starts with those guys. But first, it is time for what's hot, what's not. Andy, Shay, you are up first.
Okay, so I'm going to start hot. My first hot was, I have to do this in little segments. It's the great tunes at West Shore Stadium. So because there's not many fans allowed in, and there's not a lot of people there, and so you just don't hear coaches yelling the entire game. After every play at West Shore Stadium when Cedar Cliff's there, and before the next play starts, like at the very last second, they play music, right? You would think that, being old guys like we are, that was annoying. This was awesome music. The guy doing the music must have been my age. It was like good stuff like Prince and Purple Rain, John Cougar Mellencamp, John Bon Jovi, Guns N' Roses. It was cool music. And it was all music I was familiar with. Like in the middle of the second quarter, I finally caught on to it. And I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying these tunes. Like, just sit there. And they do it after every play, and then they stop right when the play starts. It wasn't cool. They had a little technical glitch late where after the play, the public address announcer would announce a play like, 6-yard run, by so-and-so, and brings up 2nd and 6. And then, boom, they go right to music while they're huddling or whatever. And they were great tunes. And the guy wasn't cutting the music off, and the PA announcer was trying to announce. And there was like 5 or 6 plays where it was kind of annoying. It was late in the game, and the Cedar Cliff fans that were in the stadium, the parents, they were getting mad because they were talking over each other, playing music, and the Colts were going to lose, but still. Playing great classic tunes right up until the snap, pretty much every single play, hot.
All right. I'm going to stick with hot. I'm going to say the year of the quarterback. I kind of didn't maybe expect this amount of quality QBs, quality signal callers. I mean, I knew we'd have, a dozen, but it seems like everywhere you look now, you've got either a pure kind of pocket guy, who there's guys out there that still kind of pocket passers, and then there's also a lot of dual threat guys. But I mean, every week you see outstanding numbers from quarterbacks. When some years, we've been very running back heavy, we've been very high, some kind of receivers and things like that, offensive lines. But I mean, think of all the quarterbacks. If you look at almost every team, they have a quality, confident sort of quarterback, and maybe they're young, a la like an Alex Irby at Steel High, who's a freshman. But all these guys bring a certain attitude that is sort of rubbed off on these teams. And that's why I think we're seeing more of these sort of quote unquote surprise teams. I mean, maybe they're just a surprise to us, but we watch a lot of football. We cover a lot of football.
We do.
We've seen a lot over the years, and you've been in business for, 65, 70 years. You're old. You've been around the block. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Me, not so much, but anyway, so I've been very impressed with the quarterback play so far. Even the guys who don't complete a lot of passes and run for 279 yards, Braden Bohannon. So guys like that. So I think it's the year of the QB. I could call that hot.
All right, I'm going to flip over to not hot real quick. There's a lot to COVID-19 football in the world that we live in, right? And I'll just say we're both grateful to be doing this and covering games on Friday right now at this point, because it's sort of unexpected and you just never knew. There's so much unknown. But as I was sitting all alone in my section, the entire section to myself at West Shore Stadium, being social distance, and it was the first time I'd gone out. I didn't go out the first 2 weeks. We've got some safety concerns that I needed to know more. I needed to gain more information. So I went out. And I'm sitting there, and I just took a bunch of things in. And then I saw the closed snack bar at West Shore Stadium over there under the scoreboard, right? Where you usually – and I kind of pictured, you usually see people there. It's an activity hub. The kids are over there. There's a lot of activity over there. And, of course, that was all gone. And then I kind of spun over to my left as I was picturing, and I had a thought. I thought about the French fry trucks, right?
Yes.
Are they going to go out of business? I mean, it's Brickers and Williams Valley Fries, right? Those are the two ones that those are two biggies, right, E?
Yeah.
Right? So it just made me think of them. Will we ever see them again? Will they ever be allowed to function inside a high school football stadium on a Friday night? Just thinking of that kind of made me sad. So it was not hot because I was like, oh, the French fry guys. And I'm thinking of them at, they're at every freaking stadium, right? Pretty much. And now there's zero. So not hot.
Yeah, I don't even know if they're doing it at speedways, the local sprint tracks or whatever. I don't even know. I mean, if they're operating there, but
I wouldn't buy fries if I had to walk up and get them from some guy like that. And that's no offense to them because their fries are awesome.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'll piggyback on that one for my first not hot because I was at Cottage Hill Saturday. Now this is 2 Saturdays out of the first 3 weeks, and I don't get a Schmitz sausage. That's the definition of not hot as far as I'm concerned.
That's all you have to say, brother.
Well, that's it. Enough said.
That's enough said. That's all you got to say. All right, I'll flip us back and keep us hot. And to remind you, in quarter 3, we're going to have a couple Boiling Spring Bubblers. Join us as our guests this week. The Bubblers are 3-0. But first, I have to tell you, E, I'm in puppy love with these Boiling Springs uniforms.
You are.
White helmets, white pants and socks and cleats. I mean, right there, you had me at hello, right? But then you throw in exquisite yellow jerseys. They're non-purple, their third uniform, their second home uniform. Yellow jerseys with flashes of purple and yellow striping on the jersey and pants. Then the showstopper. This is a showstopper for me. Those white helmets with a block B on one side and purple with yellow trim. And then their numbers in block on the other side. Yellow and purple stripes down the middle. Somebody, anybody, please send me a link that I can get some of this gear. Hit me up on Twitter. It's at AP Shay. If there's a link to spend some cash on Bubblers gear, I want to do it. Can you imagine a white sweatshirt with that?
Oh, yeah. Even a long sleeve tee, man, with just the B and the football.
Under it in purple with yellow trim and white. Oh. Okay, I need a moment. It's on to you, E. Give me some. I'm beating my own self up. I'm sorry.
We'll call up the Bubblers. We'll see what we can get for you. All right. Whether you're a large corporation, client, or team, school, or individual with a small job, 4D Printing will treat you like family. Call or email today for a quote and mention Fourth Down Magazine, 717-939-6422, or email adam@fortneyprinting.com. 4D Printing, your trusted source for promotional items, printing, and PPE in the Harrisburg area.
It's you. It's hot.
All right, A. I'm going to my next hot here. I'm going to say the Steel High Steamrollers Press Box crew. And hear me out on this one.
I need to hear you out on this one.
These are
crazy crew. That's a crazy crew.
It's a crazy crew, but they're good, solid. I grew up with a lot of the guys too, but I can't figure out, and I'm not going to ask them because it's I can't figure out if they're geniuses or they just don't know the mercy rule clock rules. Okay, as you know, 35 points in the second half, you're in the mercy rule. Clock runs. It stops though. It stops for what? Change of possession, injuries, timeouts, and then scores or whatever, or of course zebra timeouts, official timeouts.
Right.
And that's when it stops. Okay, the clock never stops Saturday. Now, I will say this. It's 57-0 at halftime. Still, I was leading Trinity en route to 77-0. But in the entire second half, okay, clock never ran. At one point, the officials huddled to discuss what a penalty was, and the clock never stopped. It just kept going and going and going. So how many plays?
Genius.
It's genius. How many plays do you think were actually run from scrimmage in 24 minutes in the second half?
20, 29, 30, 31?
22 plays. That's it.
24 minutes?
22 plays in 24 minutes. Second half was like literally – it felt – the second half, yes, it was a running clock, but it felt like the second half was 6.5 minutes long. It was fabulous. It was fabulous. And it was the right time to do it. So I'm not – I don't know. I think these guys are geniuses. I'm never going to tell them that to their faces, but I think they could be geniuses. So the press box crew at Steel High, hot.
All right, I'm going to flip us over to not hot. I've got some records in 2020 so far that grab me, right? 0-3 Shippensburg, 1-3 Mannheim Central, 0-3 CD East, allowing just under 15 points a game, 0-2 Lower Dauphin. The Falcons are now riding a 13-game losing streak. They lost to Mechanicsburg in the final game of 2018 by a touchdown. They were 0-10 last year, 0-2 this year. The last time they won a game was nearly 2 years ago. It was October 9th, 2018 against Hershey. They just got beat by Juniata 21-14 in overtime. So a few not so hot records, not hot.
All right, I'm going back to not hot too. I'm going to say a couple of things that I really miss on Friday nights. This COVID world obviously makes everything weird. But two things I really miss about Friday nights is, number one, is whoever the kid is, and I know he's not getting paid, he's a volunteer, to do the mascot for the team. It's always bad rubber and polyester and just hot, stinky, whatever the mascot gear is made of. And they're in it for 5 hours on a Friday night, so God bless them. I miss that. And I also miss the painted students. You know, they get together in their white T-shirts and they're outside.
Those student sections,
They just throw paint on people and then have the student sections. So those two, not having those two guys, those two things around Friday nights, not hot.
All right, my last hot. We're almost done, E. My last hot goes to records again. 3-0 Hershey, 3-0 Mechanicsburg, 3-0 Northern, 3-0 Boiling Springs, 2-0 Camp Hill. It's always nice to be surprised, right? There's some other undefeated teams out there, but we're not surprised by them. It's just a quick hit hot. Those things strike me as like, you know what? That's cool. I like to be surprised. And I have a bonus hot for you. I saw your truck thing that you talked about in our first not hot version with the plywood and the people sitting on it. I saw that at Cedar Cliff Friday. That's so hot, dude. That's like boiling hot.
Truck decks, man.
It's the coolest thing, sitting outside the fence. So hot. I had to give you a shout out for that.
We need to license that out. We could put like logos on the truck decks.
Unbelievable.
Make them up, make a fortune. All right, my last hot, CD East. Hear me out on this one too. Obviously, with teams bowing out, COVID, things like this, we've heard a lot of it. You alluded to earlier in the show about teams saying, "Oh, we'll play anybody," but they're being selective about who they play.
Right.
We know this about CD East. They will play anybody, and they will go anywhere.
They don't care.
Case in point, Panthers have already traveled 420 round-trip miles in 3 weeks.
3 games.
In 3 games, okay? They still have a game this week where, at Chambersburg, chalk up the mileage, they have one home game scheduled, and guess who that home game is? It's with sister school Central Dauphin, at which they share the same home venue. So it's not really a home game. So out of the 6 away games, the CD East Panthers will travel 876 round-trip miles this year in a 7-game schedule. That means they could actually drive from Harrisburg to Green Bay, Wisconsin to maybe catch a game in Lambeau Field. That would be a good reward for this football team. CD East, travel anywhere to play anybody, hot.
All right, my last not hot, and we're going to wrap it up here. It was after the game Friday night at West Shore Stadium. McDevitt coach Jeff Wester was asked by a TV guy with a camera pointing at him, what's the strange part for him about COVID-19 football games, right? About playing games this year. What was the oddest thing for him? His answer was dead solid perfect. He said there's a lot of differences, but what he really missed more than anything, he said, I miss the band. I never imagined I would miss the band this much. He said, I miss the band. I'm with you, coach. No band, not hot. We miss the band. And he said it perfectly. He was like, I'm surprised, but I really miss the band.
It's certainly not hot, too, because you hear a lot more – the officials hear a lot more of the jawing on the field because there's no peripheral noise, and you see a lot of more 15-yard penalties. Hey, buddy, you can't say that. So, anyway. All right, my last hot knot, I'm saying the homecoming in the world of COVID. It's one of those other things that make high school football special, too. I felt bad for the homecoming court at Steel High on Saturday. The only saving grace is it was sunny. It was nice. It was like 80 degrees out on top of the hill.
Right.
And, but you didn't have the fancy cars or the corny cars, whatever, Stingrays, whatever you get dressed up. You didn't have a lot of people in the stands to actually, celebrate who was homecoming queen. That's a big deal.
Right.
Big deal when I was in high school, to see the homecoming court, it's a big deal for them. So to not have that, to have that sort of thing diminished a little bit, obviously is just another thing you have to deal with in the world of COVID. So not hot.
All right, that wraps it up for What's Hot, What's Not. Coming up in quarter three, actual high school football players will join the show. Bring on the Bubblers. This is Fourth Down Magazine's High School Football Now with Eric and Andy. Stick around. We'll be right back with a couple of Boiling Springs Bubblers.
Back to High School Football Now, presented by Fourth Down Magazine.
All righty, welcome back to High School Football Now with Eric and Andy. We are presented by Fourth Down Magazine. Find us on the Small Player Big Play app and, of course, YouTube. We hope you enjoyed that sizzling hot knot segment. But right now, it is quarter number 3, and it is time to bring in real-life football players. Who do we got tonight?
All right, we have a couple of Boiling Spring Bubblers, as we've been telling you. He's number 9 in your Boiling Spring Bubblers 2020 football program roster. It's Carson Garvey, 6'2", 185-pound junior, split end safety. He's got 2 picks, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery on defense. And number 4 on your Bubblers roster for 2020 is Davon James, 6 foot, 190-pound senior halfback, wing T-term, and a cornerback. In 3 games, he's rushed for 232 yards on 20 carries with 5 touchdowns. So let me get that right. I'm doing math, so it's kind of scary. That's 1 in 4 carries he takes to the house, and he's averaging 11.6 yards per carry this season. First of all, gentlemen, congratulations on the 3-0 start. That's outstanding. Wins over Susquehanna, Trinity, and Big Spring. Defensive touchdown, big defensive touchdown, and a big special teams touchdown against the Bulldogs last week. 35-21 victory over Big Spring. Why is that not a rivalry game? Maybe we'll get into that. Why isn't it a rivalry game, right? Why isn't Boiling Springs and Big Spring a rivalry game? But either way, gentlemen, thank you for joining us. All you, Epi.
All right, guys, this is for both of you guys. What was it like? We got to start from the beginning, week 1, whatever week that was in the year of COVID. What was it like snapping a streak, getting that monkey off your back?
Well, honestly, it was just like a new feeling because years past, me being an underclassman, it was like, okay, we're going to be okay, But then coming in this year, we had a newfound confidence, I believe. And, we were just like, hey, we're in this. And once we got to that, what was that mark? Probably like 3rd touchdown, we knew it was like going to be in the bag.
Carson?
Yeah, I mean, this year you could definitely see the difference between the years past with this team. More energetic, more lively. And then getting that monkey off our shoulders. That first game against Susquehanna, that felt great. I mean, what was it? 13 games we lost in a row. So that just took a lot of pressure off us. And then after that, we could just play freely.
Everybody's offseason was sort of the same when everybody's going through this for the past, since March, whatever it was, when you guys had to dial up and go, basically homeschooled for the last, couple of months of the season. But I mean, more so than just weight room, what was sort of the secret for you guys, or what do you feel was the secret for you guys in the offseason to kind of get to that point? Because when things are going bad, they snowball. And sometimes the harder you work, the deeper the hole you dig for yourself. So you not only have to work hard, but you have to work smart in the offseason. Anything specifically that you guys did to kind of get you to this confidence point to be able to win in week 1?
Not specifically, I'd say. More just keeping up the attitude as, like, we're not going to be the same team that we were last year. We're not going to be the underdogs always. And even now we still kind of are, but we're really passing off that role, and we're kind of just ready to start winning more games.
Carson, do you feel the same way?
I'd say it was the Zoom meetings that we had in the spring and throughout the summer. We just became a smarter football team. We understood things, so we didn't have to think during games. We just had to act. because we've always had the physical tools this last couple of years, but we never put it together. We had mental breakdowns during the game, but not this year. It's totally different.
Hey, Carson, can I jump in here, E?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I wanted to know what was the message after you guys beat Susquehanna? This is my last losing streak question, I promise. I'd like to know what Coach said to you guys. Did he address it? Did he say, I'm sure you guys were, after losing that many games in a row, you're like, thank goodness we got one. What was his message to you guys, or what stuck out from you after the game about, maybe what he said or what some of the coaches said to you guys about actually getting a win on a Friday night?
I mean, just like every game, win or loss, he goes, we're on to the next one, right? You get one night to celebrate, one night to be happy about this win, but once comes Saturday morning, it's on to the next week. So we just put it behind us and prepare for the next game.
So I want to follow up with that, Davon, with you. There is a tough element, as you said earlier. When you're losing week after week after week, it gets kind of old. It's hard, right? Excuse me. I mean, you could point to 3 or 4 games last year that could have gone either way for you guys. I think you lost 2 or 3 games by a touchdown when you went 0-10 last year. And that's tough because you're close, but you can't get over the hump. At the same time, now you're 3-0, right? There's a tough element to that as well. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get too big for your britches. You can't start saying, hey, we actually can be or are good. You still have to stay married to what you guys do and do well. The line sometimes between 3-0 and 0-3 isn't a big one. What's the difference in the line for you guys so far this year between being 3-0 and 0-3 in your opinion?
I'm kind of confused at the question, honestly.
So there's not much difference between being 3-0 and 0-3 sometimes, right?
Yeah.
There's not much. What's the difference for you guys, in your opinion, between being 3-0 now as compared to last year when you would have been 0-3 probably under the same circumstances?
The difference for sure would have to be the attitude that you see in everybody else. Like, yeah, when you're 0-3, the attitude is we really want to get one. But even when you're 3-0, you're like, yeah, we still want to keep this ball rolling. We still want to keep getting them over and over until the very end.
Davon, I wanted to ask you, what's Coach Zell like? Does he have – most coaches have split personalities, one where you see him in the hallways and the other one where you see him on the practice field. What is Coach Zell? Now, you can dish it all you can say as much as you want. Well, don't worry. What's he like on the practice field?
On the practice field, I'd say he, in the simplest way possible, he pushes us to be our best, always, and that's all you could really want from a coach. He pushes us to be our best. When we mess up, that, like you said, that other personality comes out. Even when we do good sometimes, he pushes us to be better than what he sees,
Carson, I want to give you the same question. What's Coach Zell like on and off the field? Is it much different, or is that sort of calming effect throughout?
I'd say he becomes I wouldn't say super intense, but a little more intense on the field than he is off. He's easy to talk to off the field, and then once he gets into his X's and O's, he'll keep rambling on forever. but he's always a joy to talk to and always a joy to be coached by.
I feel like you guys, your offense seems to be clicking very well. I know, Davon, you've gotten some huge chunk plays. I don't know what you're averaging rush-wise, but I think you've only carried like 20 times, and you've already got 5 TDs and maybe 250-plus yards. So that's a pretty good average per carry. But I almost feel like your defense is overshadowed. It has been overshadowed in the first 3 weeks. What's been the secret for you guys defensively to kind of get to this 3-0 mark? Because that's, putting that pressure on opposing offenses creates opportunities for you for that offense to get back in gear. So what's the key been for you guys defensively?
It's all mental, honestly. Knowing where you're supposed to line up, knowing what coverage you have, whether you have the flat, the deep third, etc. Knowing what gap you're going into as a linebacker, all that. It's all just mental.
Carson?
I'd piggyback off that. It's mostly mental, and knowing what to do, it lets you be more aggressive during the game. And that just tumbles into turnovers. We've caused a here. So that's the difference.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Huh?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just said that those turnovers were that's the difference between this year and last year. We made more plays on the defensive side to get our offense the ball back.
You guys feel it's kind of a weird question, but can you feel like stronger? Do you guys feel better on the field? I mean, obviously things are working for you. You're winning football games, but does the game feel a little slower to you at this point? They always say when things are going well, the game is kind of slow for you. Can you feel that? Can you feel like the game's slowing down a little bit for you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Carson?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay. Hey,
Carson, and I want you both to answer this. Football-wise, right? A group, a side of the ball. I want each of you to tell me the biggest difference so far that you see between 2020 Boiling Spring Bubblers and 2019. What, in your opinion, is the standout difference for each of you? What's standing out to you that's really different than it was a year ago? Carson, you first, please.
Okay. I'd say leadership. Our senior leadership, even our juniors and underclassmen leadership, is just to push everyone, to go 100% every play. It's much different than years past. It's inspiring, honestly.
Davon, what do you see that's the biggest difference in 2020 compared to a year ago? Is it up front? Is it, is it your linebacker? What do you see is the biggest difference? One thing that you point to so far.
I'd say our line is really, really stepping up this year. I know that they have a big role to take on, especially being a wing T offense,
Right.
And, without them, pretty much our offense wouldn't really work. So.
How are they better, execution or technique so far? I mean, you could coach technique till you're blue in the face, but you got to execute at some point. Those guards got to get out, right? In the wing T, them guards got to get up and get going and get to the second level.
Yeah.
What are you seeing execution-wise from your offensive line that as a guy that gets handed the ball sometimes, you're going to see it if it ain't working. What are you seeing out of them that's so much different for you in your opinion?
When we really need that push, they really know how to execute their jobs. Mason Sowers, Cole McClintock, all those you guys have mentioned before. They really know how to use leverage in this offense, so it really helps us out.
All right, I'm going to the uniforms, E. I'm sorry. You gotta indulge me. How many different – let's start with you, Carson. How many different combinations do you guys have? How many?
Well, we got our purple home uniforms with our white pants,
right,
which were week 1. And then week 2, we wore our away uniforms, which are white with purple pants. And then week 3, we wore our yellow uniforms with the white pants we wore week 1.
Is it white helmets with all of them, or do you have different helmets?
No, just one helmet, white helmets.
Have you sported a black version of your kit before? Did I see that once in the last couple of years? Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. All right, so you got 3 of them. Oh, they are sweet. They are sweetie.
Yeah, I agree. I love the helmets. The helmets are fabulous. You got a B and a block letter here. Done. Perfect.
It's done.
Yeah. All right. Before we put you guys in the hot seat, I have one question. I asked the CL High guys this last week, and I discovered a couple new nicknames. So who's got the corniest nickname on the squad? Corniest. You know what I mean? Like it's so ridiculous. It's funny. Anyone?
Trying to think. Jeez.
That's awesome. Both rubbing their chin.
They were fighting last week to come up with the corniest one. They were like, well, you've got this one and
Yeah, but then they had 3. Yeah, they popped out 3. We'll let you think about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, hey, throw them on the hot seat.
All right, Carson and Davon, you guys are on the High School Football Now hot seat. Are you ready? I'm going to start with you. Carson, are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cake or pie? Davon?
Pie.
Pie. All right, Davon, this one's I'm starting with you. College football on Saturday or NFL football on Sunday? Which one?
NFL football on Sunday.
Carson?
College, no doubt.
College football. Well done. All right, Carson, sticking with you. One person, dead or alive, you want to have lunch with it. Who is it?
Probably Joe Montana.
Joe Montana. Woo! Retro. Davon, one person, dead or alive, who you having lunch with?
Walter Payton.
Oh, man. Excuse me, I just need a moment. Dude, sweetness. That I grew up watching it. Oh, my gosh. All right, let's keep it rolling. Let's stick with you, Davon. Your favorite high school – we just talked about your uniforms, but I want to know your favorite high school football uniform and helmet combination that is not yours. Who else do you like?
I would have to say Harrisburg.
Harrisburg gets a lot. You guys get some shout-outs too. Carson, who do you like?
Oof. I think Trinity's isn't bad. I don't think
– The green or the white? Which one? You like the green or the
green?
The green one.
Yeah.
All right, Carson, sticking with you. What's your go-to song right now? Give it up.
Oh, go-to song. Jeez.
One. Only one.
I couldn't tell you. Wow. I don't know.
What's that? You don't have that one that you're going to say, I'm going to this. You got 4 minutes. This is a song you can pick. Pick it.
Nah, I don't.
All right, we'll let you off. We'll let you off. We're not easy, but we'll let you off. All right, Davon, you got a go-to song right now?
Yeah, probably Sack Right by Rod Wave.
Epler?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
That's a standard answer. All right, last one, and thank you guys again for joining us, and good luck this week. Davon, I'm going to start with you. What's your go-to order at Sheetz? Give it to me.
Ooh, if it's a morning type of thing, I like to get the croissant, sausage, egg, and cheese. And if I'm feeling thrifty, I guess, or if I'm feeling like spending more, I'll get the hash browns.
Nice. Carson, what's your go-to order at Sheetz? Give it to me.
Probably Italian sub. Yeah.
Nice.
With fries.
With fries. All right, I was going to say, you got it. They always ask you 6 times on the screen, do you want fries or an add-on?
Right.
So you're like, well, of course, I have to add something on because they're asking me for it.
All
righty, take us out. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate it.
Yeah, guys, thanks so much for your time. Obviously, congratulations on the great 3-0 start. Keep it going. Stay safe and healthy. Tell Coach Zell, thanks for letting us chat for a little while. And best of luck to you. We'll be running into you on the field here soon enough.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, coming up quarter number 4, it's picks and predictions. Get ready for this week. We'll give you 10 of our best, maybe 5-star picks. Probably not all 5-star. When we come back, this is High School Football Now. 4th Down Magazine. Come on back for the picks.
This is High School Football Now, presented by 4th Down Magazine.
Okay, welcome back to High School Football Now with Eric and Andy. We are presented by 4th Down Magazine, hosted by the engaging Small Player, Big Play app. Our picks and predictions, of course, are sponsored by Crown Trophy. Go to crowntrophy.com for all of your trophy needs. All right, it is our week 4, week 3, week 4, who knows, whatever. It's this week's predictions. Last week, Mr. Epler, you did very well. You were 7-2. Good job, E. I was 8-1.
Yeah, he's setting it up. That's it. My hat's on backwards. It's go time now.
All right. I am 22-7 overall. You are 20-9. I have an early 2-game lead as the owner of the Shepler Cup. Let's see how it goes. This week we got 11 games for you, so we need to fire it up and keep rolling because we got to try and equal up. We lost a COVID game last week.
Right.
Lose one this week. So we're always going to be trying to catch up and play 10 games a week. We might be doing that the rest of the year. But let's start at 3-0 Boiling Springs. They're going to go to War Memorial Field in Middletown. The Blue Raiders, victims of a COVID game last week against Camp Hill, they were off. Middletown's 1-1. Fire it up, E.
I've heard a couple of weeks in a row now, Tony Powell, the quarterback from Middletown, is coming back. Tony Powell's coming back. Tony Powell's coming back. Still isn't back yet. So with Powell not in that lineup, I just wonder if Camp Hill is going to get that sort of A-game performance that they can be. I mean, no offense to the backup, but you're losing that quality athlete by putting him under center to do something else for you. So it's right now. Right now, I'm not quite sure where Middletown's going. I mean, I think it's still a good quality football team. They're developing, but they've had one game. They've had 2 games to show it. And the victory was against Juniata in week 1, which seems like, eons away. So I still like this football team. I like the Bubblers, what the Bubblers are doing. But this might be the first time that it takes a very special effort by Boiling Springs to come out with a victory. So I'm going to take Middletown here. I'm going to take the home team. But I think this is one of those, tug of wars. And I'd like to see Powell back just for the game's sake. Just to see these 2 teams at kind of full strength. But I think Tamir Jackson's going to have some running room. I think he's going to have a big game. So I'll take Middletown in a squeaker.
I, too, am going to take the Blue Raiders. And so I look at this and I think, great, the undefeated Bubblers who are, feeling their oats a little bit but still kind of finding their way. Don't forget, they needed a defensive touchdown on a pick 6 and a special teams touchdown on a block punt return for a touchdown to get past Big Spring. And good, but now the Middletown's been off for 2 weeks, right, since losing. So they're going to be twice as ticked off, right? So they lost their game to Camp Hill, was a COVID casualty. Somehow that's something that resonates with me. You know what I mean? Like they're twice as ticked off. On the flip side, Middletown isn't sure, about the elements and what they've got going on at the skill position. The Bubblers are better than the 35-0 game a year ago. This isn't the Blue Raiders of 2019. We know that. But there's still some pretty solid building blocks at Middletown. They just haven't had a chance to put it together. I'm tepid on this pick, a little bit tepid, and I can't remember the last time I was tepid on picking Middletown. How's that?
Right. Good point.
All right, Friday, Roscoe Warner Field, Susquehanna Township, 0-1, is going to host Mechanicsburg 3-0. Fingers crossed, D. Is this game going to be played? I don't know.
Again, it's a headspace kind of game for me. I mean, how do we know what really Susquehanna's gone through in the past 2 weeks practice-wise? If they've been able to practice, they haven't been able to practice the entire time. First week did not go well for them against Greencastle Antrim. The offense sputtered. They didn't look good defensively either, really. Right. So, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Susquehanna is, and we know what Mechanicsburg's been doing.
Right.
So
I have what they've been doing.
Yeah, I have to take the Wildcats in this space. I just don't know what the Indians are going to come out with. I know there's athletes there, but right now it's just not. It's not easy to project what kind of performance Susquehanna is going to give, and I think we know by now what kind of performance Mechanicsburg will. So I will take Mechanicsburg.
I will take Mechanicsburg as well. I mean, the result for Susquehanna Township, if they get to play the game, the result matters on some level, right? But they've played one game, and now they haven't been able to pretty much do anything for 2 weeks. So in the world we live in now, the result is kind of a little bit irrelevant, in my honest opinion. And Mechanicsburg's got 8 more quarters of football under the belt, and they've been killing cats the last 2 weeks. They've got balance on the offensive side. They're holding teams down. They drop big play bombs on you offensively. They're rolling, and Susquehanna just wants to get back on the field. That's a big gap, so I'm going to stick with the Wildcats. All right, East Pennsboro 2-1 is going to travel to 3-0 Waynesboro. This game is, are you kidding me, E, at Buchanan Automotive Stadium. That is beautiful.
Yeah, it's the reservation.
Advertising.
The baseball field's the reservation, and this was Buchanan Automotive Stadium. Absolutely
beautiful.
Yeah, I would not have projected this game 3 weeks ago to matter much in the Colonial,
Right.
And because it's really two teams that we really didn't discuss about these two teams in the preseason because we had three other teams above them that we thought would be there. Well, by the way, Waynesboro's coming off a big win against Redland, a dominating win, which I didn't think that would happen. And East Pennsboro's played a lot better than I thought they could in the first 3 weeks. And they're 2-1. So I'm going to stick with the home team. I'm going to say Buchanan Automotive Stadium's good for 4 points, maybe. I'm going to stick with Waynesboro because I still, when I look at those guys and what they've done, I think they're a lot tougher mentally and physically than at least I've given them credit for. So I think that's going to show up on Friday night. I will take the Indians.
I will take Waynesboro as well. I went to great lengths to find a tangible football reason to pick the Panthers here. I really did. I looked at all the football measurables that I look for. I couldn't find one to hang my hat on. It just feels like maybe it's a close shave and a little bit of a close shave. I'm often wrong, but I'm still picking Waynesboro. And I have no idea what's going to happen because I couldn't find anything tangible to hang my hat on to pick East Pennsboro. All right, Cumberland Valley 1 and 2 is going to travel to Rocco Tenzio Stadium, the Rock, to play 3-0 Bishop McDevitt. Fire it up, E. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, even if I thought the Eagles could keep pace offensively, which I don't McDevitt, I think there's a lot more matchup problems too that McDevitt gives these guys a lot of trouble with. Seeing what Cumberland Valley could not do against State College, and that's a pretty good 6A program. But McDevitt's not far off in that discussion. I think if you put McDevitt and State College together, I think it'd be a whale of a ball game. So I just can't trust what Cumberland Valley can do offensively. So I have to take McDevitt.
I will take I'll take the Crusaders as well. Again, I feel confident that Marquise Williams is going to play this week. That passing game, they can carry the load for McDevitt in this matchup. But if you throw in an elite talent at running back, and to me, then that just becomes a big-time mismatch. I mean, Cumberland Valley has shown me so little firepower offensively in 2020. McDevitt demands some pop from you, right? If you're going to stay in a game, you got to have some chaos and some pop. Dude, I see 28-0, 33-7, something like that. That's how I just see this game.
Yeah, and it may be smart too. Even if Marquise Williams is cleared to play and he comes back from that ankle injury, I mean, do you really need to play him? I mean, just look what the passing game did last week.
Yeah,
so,
if Wexler has him, he's going to use him. If he's out there, Wexler's going to.
It's a rivalry game, so it's not. It's something too that it's been a statement game for both of these franchises over the years. So. But again, I think at this point in the COVID world, if you're up, you get out of Dodge. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're backing in, you get out of Dodge. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Cumberland Valley can surprise, but I just haven't seen enough oomph out of those guys so far this year to make that prediction.
All right, Warwick's 4-0, very highly regarded by the keeper of the state rankings, which is who?
It's me.
You. They're going to travel to Solanco, 3-1. This game's Friday night, Solanco High School Stadium. Is this intriguing, E?
Absolutely, it's intriguing. Yeah,
Okay.
Because, I mean, like you said, you knocked off Cocalico. You knocked off Manheim Central. Yes, okay, the Barons are struggling. And now you're walking in to play Warwick, who's one of the best 5A teams in the state. That's not negotiable. That's not up for debate. So, Warwick has that possibility to start – when they start leaning on you, you break quickly.
Right.
They can lean on that rushing game, and obviously having Mr. McCracken back in the lineup helps tremendously. So I see Warwick winning this football game. I think Solanco's done a tremendous job the past couple of weeks, but this is a really tough matchup for them. So I go Warriors to stay unbeaten.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Warwick as well. I mean, Solanco's looking for what you'd have to consider the most unlikely trifecta, right? Consecutive wins.
Absolutely.
The Calico, Manheim Central, and Warwick. No chance. No chance. I'm not sure if I see this game as close. I'm kind of looking forward to see what Warwick's defense does in this game against Solanco's offense. That's the part of the game that I'm looking forward to. I'm pretty sure about this. You're not going to line up and run for 300 on Warwick, right? I don't think that's going to happen if you're Solenko, so I'll take Warwick. All right, let's fire off our second level games. Let's start. State College is 1-1. At Carlisle, 1-1. This game's at Ken Millen Stadium. Couple of 1-1 teams. Not much to see here, right?
Yeah, there's a buzz that Carlisle, has kind of a puncher's chance in this one, and I could sort of pinpoint one or two areas where they may have a slight, maybe not advantage, but at least they're even up at State College. But I think State College learned a lot from week 1 to week 2, and that performance against Cumberland Valley was pretty impressive, pretty dominating. So I'll take State College here on the road. I mean, they're itching to play. I'm not quite sure what the status of Dresden Green is. Their running back, their all-state running back. But if he's back, he's an absolute difference maker. So I'll take State College.
I will take State College as well. I don't think there is a puncher's chance. The Little Lions, they build. This year they're building, right? They have a lot of new parts. I like a lot of the new parts. Getting Green back will help. But the fact that I just don't – and it has nothing to do with Carlisle. It has nothing to do with the opponent and everything to do with State College. I think it's a runaway. All right, West Shore Stadium, Lower Dolphins 0-2, at Redland 1-2. Couple of teams looking for something.
Yeah, dartboard game. They're looking for offense is what they're looking for.
Right, that's what they're looking for.
Both teams are looking for offense. To me, I mean, if you look at the results and you break things down, Redland's a little bit ahead right now. The Falcons, who just look a little bit confused as to what they can do and can't do. So I'll take Redland, but here for me, it's a dartboard game. It's an absolute toss-up. But I'll take the home team. I'll take the Patriots.
I'm going to take Redland as well because, like you, I'm not sure who's going to find their offense or if either team does or who comes out on top. And I don't want to give you a layup in our chase for the Shepler Cup, so I'm sticking with you. I'm going with Redland. Well, Juniata's 2-1 at Newport. This is at Catchemer Field, 7 o'clock Friday. It's a COVID game. It's up in the air, right?
It is up in the air, but it was obviously a real disadvantage, too, for Newport to lose the game last week.
Right.
They were all ready to go, but there is a case at Newport, and apparently the case is connected somehow to Juniata. So it may be a game that we lose, but I like Newport here. I think they're itching to get back on the field. I was impressed with their week 1, and Newport's just a team that does a lot of things well. Like they're not going to wow you. They're not going to put up video game numbers. And Juniata is that kind of like feast or famine. They'll go for they'll hitch to the Madden deep ball a lot with Kondo, and he can run it too. But I'll take Newport. I think Newport's in a good position here if they wind up playing this game.
I'm taking Juniata. I think they're riding high and full of momentum. I hope they play this game, but in the contact tracing world of the pandemic, nothing's a sure thing. I like Juniata's defense in this spot. That's why I like Juniata. All right, a few more, and then we're going to bump out. CD East 0-3 at Chambersburg 0-3. This game's at Trojan Stadium. Somebody's going to get a WE.
It's strange because I saw Chambersburg against Central Dauphin week 1, and yes, it was a blowout. It was a 62-something game.
Whatever
it was. But I saw enough there. I thought that they could make, they can make improvements and get a couple wins. I'm just not sure where they are, right now mentally. CD East, we know, has struggled offensively. Both teams have struggled offensively to get there. But I'm going to take the road team. I'm going to take CD East. I say they find something to maybe get to that 14, 18, 21-point mark and sneak by the Trojans. So I'll take the road team.
Yeah, I'm going to take CD East as well. I'm a little surprised that we're agreeing on this one. I mean, for all those miles you talked about in what's hot, what not, I think the line between 0-3 and 3-0 for the Panthers, it's kind of thin to me.
Yeah.
Their defense has performed majestically in 3 games. They're close other than points. They're not making a ton of turnovers and, self-inflicted wounds and killing themselves with penalties. They're close. They get one here against the Trojans, I think. Another team that doesn't bring a lot of firepower to the table. So, all right, Central Dolphins 3-0. They're going to go to Altoona, Mansion Park, the Ravens' Den. Altoona's 2-1, E.
Altoona is 2-1. They're tough suckers, I can tell you that. But Central Dauphin has good vibes at Mansion Park ever since 2011 when they dealt up the program's finest victory, in my opinion. That semifinal game that you and I were at in 2011 en route to the state championship. So I don't think the haunted house is going to bother Central Dauphin at all. I think Altoona could bother them in stretches, but not long enough. So you have to take the CD Rams at this point.
I'll take Central Dauphin as well. You can be a little sluggish, or in the case of the Rams last week, a little less than, oh my God, electric on offense. Right. You always have that high pressure in your face defense to fall back on, right? Altoona's vastly improved at 2-1 overall. We both agree. But are they ready for this? I don't think so.
I agree.
All right, here we go. This one's at Memorial Field in Shippensburg, 7 o'clock Friday. West Perry at Shippensburg. Combined teams are 0-6, so a couple of 0-3 teams, a little bit shocking.
Was I disappointed a little bit at West Perry last week? Yes.
Yes.
I was disappointed.
Turnovers. Can't turn the ball over that many times.
But and I know Shippensburg probably played the tougher team last week, but Shippensburg to me is just, man, I don't know where they go from here. I know they usually play pretty well at home. West Perry searching for offense too. But I am going to take West Perry. I think this is kind of a spot where they could surprise Shippensburg. Shippensburg's 0-3. They have to know they're not going to the playoffs. I think that might screw them up a little bit. The one thing that scares me was Manning not Hauser, which we talked about. That did show up pretty prominently against Northern. So that connection's there. So maybe they're going to try to eke some more of that out. West Perry's got to be ready for that. So, but I'll still take the Mustangs. I think this is a tight one, 21-20, something like that. It's going to come down to the wire.
I think it's a tight one too, and I'm going to take the Greyhounds. A couple 0-3 teams looking for that post-game huddle, good vibes.
Yeah.
You get right after the game. I think Shippensburg, in some respects, took a step forward in losing against Northern last week. They acquitted themselves well. They hit on what they have to hit on. West Perry better take care of the ball, or this one could get away if they don't take care of the rock.
Yep.
But I'm going to ride the Greyhounds. I'm willing to put my Shepherd Cup supremacy on the line. And I'm going to go with Shippensburg. All right, that's it, partner.
All right, you enjoy that lead while you can. All right, that'll do it for this edition of High School Football Now.
Come get me.
With Eric and Andy, we are presented by Fourth Down Magazine, the proud folks at Small Player, Big Play app. That's where you can find us each week. Special thanks to a couple of Boiling Springs Bubblers. Those guys are 3-0. Davon James and Junior H-back Carson Garvey. Look for them Friday night when they tangle with Middletown down near the river. All right, join us every week as we float. We're too old to float, but you get our gist. But we peek into the world of Central PA football every week. Come back and see us. Get out to a football game if they're allowing you in. All right, thanks for joining us. Thanks, partner.
Thank you, Double E.
See ya.
See ya.